You ever have one of those days where you're just sitting there staring at something that you know that you need to do, you know you need to get done, and it's like your brain has just hit a wall? Maybe you tell yourself like, hey, I'll start in 10 minutes, right? And then 10 minutes turns into an hour, and an hour turns into tomorrow. And then by the end of the week, like the guilt starts to feel so heavy, like you don't even want to think about it anymore. Or even in that moment when it's 10 minutes, you're like, but I can't spare 10 minutes. I don't have 10 minutes or an hour or the rest of the day to spare. And anxiety starts to set in as a part of that. And you start to feel that just gnawing at yourself, right? And the worst part is like you start believing that maybe there's something wrong with you. Maybe it's laziness or undiscipline. Like there's something wrong because like you can't get yourself to take any action for the things that you actually care about. And I get it because I've been there too. And as a parent, as an entrepreneur, as somebody who's worked in like the corporate atmosphere in the sea of cubicles, I get it. I've been down this road before. But what if I told you that procrastination isn't a sign of like laziness or anything along those lines? It's actually a sign that just you're misaligned. That your resistance is trying to protect you, not punish you, because you're forcing yourself to operate in ways that don't fit just your natural design. And so that's what we're diving into today. I want to show you how to finally break free from procrastination and what it's holding you back from, not by pushing harder, but by aligning your work and your energy and your purpose with the GIVER method. You know, I used to think that honestly, like that procrastination meant I was lazy. Like I was like, man, there's something wrong with me. And I beat myself up for putting something off. And I tried to like guilt myself into action or white knuckle my way through. Like I'm just going to willpower my way, but I'd still end up in the exact same cycle again. I'd start a project on fire and then abandon it halfway through. I'd avoid important stuff for weeks while like the shame and guilt and fear and anxiety would be piling up. And the harder I tried to like just push through it, the worse it got for me. And I was exhausted from battling myself. And then that's when it all clicked. Once again, it's not a discipline problem. It's the design. It isn't laziness. It's your soul's way of saying, hey, there's a problem here. And so we're going to talk about how you overcome that with the GIVER method, not forcing yourself to grind harder, but by leaning into your aligned, gifts and superpowers, aligning your actions with these authentic gifts that you have and connect what you do to meaningful service at the same time. It's going to create momentum that actually feels good instead of draining the life out of you. So let me just start by saying welcome to the GIVER Method channel. If you're new here, my name is Jake. I'm glad you're able to join me. If you're a return person watching a video again, welcome back. Super excited to have you here. So let me ask you something. Have you tried those productivity hacks, whether it's the planner or the 5 a.m. routine, but somehow you always end up back in the same patterns, wondering why can't I do this? Or maybe you're like what I mentioned earlier, where you just feel stuck, like you're staring at the tasks that you need to do and that guilt and frustration piling up at every minute that passes, that you're like, man, why can't I get this going? Or maybe you felt the quiet shame of watching an opportunity that you could have taken advantage of slip by because you just can't seem to move. Maybe you start to believe there is something wrong with you. And once again, if any of that's familiar, this is the place for you to be. You're just trying to operate from outside of that authentic design. And when you try to force tasks, and that don't use your natural strengths, your gifts, your superpowers, or connect to your purpose, then your brain is going to hit there's tons of data and research out there that shows that procrastination isn't a time management issue in any means. It's an emotional regulation issue. Your brain is detecting a threat, not like a danger threat, like an animal's going to get you, but in that the task itself, it's misaligned between who you are and who you really are and what it's asking you to do, and your body and your brain and your emotions don't know how to process that. And so if you think about it, you never procrastinate on the things that align with your gifts. You're really excited to do those. Parents who struggle to work out never miss their kid's soccer game, or the entrepreneur who avoids strategic planning never puts off the dreaming up new ideas. The employee who delays updating their resume never procrastinates helping their coworker that they care about. Your procrastination, it isn't random in any way. It's revealing exactly where you are out of alignment. So let's dive deep into that. Now, I didn't properly introduce myself. My name is Jake Talbert. I'm the founder and author of this book. It's called The GIVER Method. Everything we're talking about today is grounded in this book. Right now, I made it available where you can get it on Amazon for as little as $2, $2 to $10. That's it. I put a link in the description where you can go get access to it. Or you can pause the video, go open up Amazon. You're going to find The GIVER Method by Jake Talbert, or use the first link down in the description. Go get yourself a copy, because everything we talk about today is grounded in this. We're going to be covering just a small fraction of some of the stuff that's in here. This book is written for people like you. It is written for parents, entrepreneurs, people who are working away in their job, who want to discover their gifts and superpowers, create more influence and impact and value. They want to stop procrastinating. They want to start living more fulfilled lives and making greater impact. And they just need the roadmap of how to get there. This is the roadmap. I wrote it based off my own story because I am a parent of 3. I'm an entrepreneur. I've been in that corporate atmosphere, and I know you can't just burn everything down or go move to the woods to find yourself. Like, you can't just like go and buy every program under the sun to try and discover these things. So I made it super simple. That's why I've made it so cheap for you to go get right now. So once again, if you need to pause the video, click the link or go find it, go get yourself a copy. Like I said, I know for years I've dealt with procrastination. My wife would be like, yeah, he's big, like that's him. You know, and I thought it meant maybe that I lacked some sort of a drive, you know, because I'd set these goals and I'm really good at building systems. I'd hire, you know, or find accountability partners and like still avoid the same things over and over. And what I noticed is I never procrastinated teaching people or mentoring. You know, I would spend hours helping someone work on a challenge, you know, that's totally within my zone, but then like that, you know, networking or self-promotion or certain other things, like I avoided these things. And that's when it hit me. It wasn't that there was something wrong or laziness or whatever. It like wasn't a time management thing at all. It was just I was trying to approach growth in ways that just didn't fit my design. And when I realigned my approach around my gifts, using teaching and adding value instead of just self-promotion, procrastination disappeared. It didn't develop because of more willpower. I just stopped fighting myself. And so I want to unpack that with you, go through 4 really specific areas that the GIVER method covers that helps you stop exhausting yourself with the willpower and really start creating from your natural rhythm. You know, we're going to look into like how you understand procrastination, like, and what it's actually revealing about you, how you reframe your tasks with your gifts, how you connect every action with like service and purpose, and then building relationship structures that fuel you instead of like feeling forced. You know, procrastination isn't just, it's not proof that it's broken. It's just data. When you start using your gifts, the things that you just have natural to you as they were designed, procrastination is conquered. It fades away. You know, every principle, like I said, is tied to the GIVER method. You know, when you find your gifts, you connect them to the tasks you do, you engage eagerly, you know, you build these relationship riches. Like, man, you're so aligned and fulfilled. You've got so much energy moving forward that just procrastination is going to disappear. So once again, grab yourself a copy if you haven't already. Use the link below. Go to Amazon, get yourself a copy of the GIVER method, or go to thegivermethod.com. Find the other ways we help people, free resources, newsletter lists, stuff like that. At the same time, go follow us on social media, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, under the handle of the GIVER method. Now, maybe if you're tired of moving through that sort of thing, you're tired of battling this stuff on your own and you want some one-on-one support, then you should check out the link below. We've got a one-on-one coaching program that you can check out the video on. If it makes sense for us to book a call and talk more, we could. If you have a team, a podcast, a event, platform, stage, whatever, where people gather that you think this message would serve them, use the link below. It talks about speaking and podcasting. I would love to find ways we could bring this to your people. And of course, hit subscribe, tap that bell for notifications, like the video, all the YouTube things, and comment anything that lands for you along the way. And so if you're ready to stop, fighting yourself and start flowing from with where you actually are, then stay with me, because it's going to make a huge change. We're about to change the way that you think about procrastination forever. And so the first area that I want to dive really deep into and focus on is like reading your own resistance as data instead of like a defect. So what is this procrastination trying to tell you specifically? And we kind of hit on it a little bit, but let's be real. Most of us treat it like it's a moral failure, right? We use those labels of laziness. We beat ourselves up. We try that brute force willpower to get through it. But the truth is, like, it isn't punishment. It's communicating to you. That resistance is data telling you. It's your brain's way of saying, like, hey, this is not, like, doesn't line up with who we are. And there's tons of data out there, neuroscience out there, that proves that, like, your brain, like, it hits the brakes when tasks feel off or disconnected from who you are. So the stuck feeling or that burnt out, like, it's not a weakness. It's this inner compass pointing you back towards this alignment. So if you think about it, if you're the parent, who happily shows up to every soccer game but dreads the workout, once again, that's not a problem. If you're the visionary entrepreneur who loves dreaming, but spreadsheets isn't your discipline, like you just can't get into it. Like they're creating force against each other. If you love collaborating, but you avoid career planning, like, man, you're just trying to do the extrovert work through like an introverted lens. Like, there's all sorts of things that are at contrast there. If you see the pattern, like, your procrastination isn't random. It's revealing where and where and why you're misaligned. And then now you can go start to target things. So let's talk about how you start to identify that. And it's simple. Like, your mission this week for a week is, like, with no shame or judgment or curiosity, every time you catch yourself avoiding something, jot down 5 quick notes. What was I putting off? And be specific. I write that intro. Like, don't just, it's not work on a project. Like, I didn't write the intro to the project. What emotions showed up? Was it boredom, dread, overwhelm, guilt, anxiety? Like, and then does this task use your natural strengths or does it fight against them? Who benefits from this when it's done? And then finally, what story are you telling yourself about why you should do it? And at the end of the week, if you look at your notes, like, almost think of it like a detective. You're going to start to see these patterns, these chains of emotions and certain types of tasks, certain stories that trigger the same resistance. That data is gold, because once you can see it, you can stop fighting yourself and start trying to design to your natural wiring, which is what we're going to talk about next. Because when you read that resistance instead of just resenting it, it changes. You stop wasting energy on the guilt or the shame or whatever, and you start using energy based off how you understand yourself. Self-compassion is not self-criticism. It builds momentum. It makes you almost 50% more likely to follow through when you start to do those things. So before you label yourself as a lazy, or whatever, pause and just listen. Like, okay, it isn't a problem. It's a message. What's it telling me? Use those 5 questions, because it's a built-in guidance system pointing you back to the work that you're aligned to, who you really are and how you're just naturally wired. And that takes us to the second area, which is you have to infuse your natural strengths into these tasks that you've been procrastinated. So let's talk about let's work with your gifts, not against them. And it's one of those things that's really, where things start to click is once you can see your procrastination is trying to tell you something, the next move is to it's not go try harder. It's you have to try different. You need to look at it different. If you see most people think if I could just do more, if I was more disciplined, if I had better time management, I could get this done. But once again, discipline, that's not the problem. The misalignment is. So you're trying to muscle your way through a task that you just don't fit how you're naturally wired. So if we go to the G in the GIVER method, once again, giving yourself a copy of the book, the G, becoming a gift giver, that gift alignment comes in. When you use your natural strengths, you don't have to fight motivation. It just shows up on its own. Your brain literally operates better in alignment. It's like switching from running in sand to running on a track. Like the same distance you run, but you're way less drag. You're going to be way less tired running on the track than you would in the sand. And look, if you can't just delete every task, I get it. I totally get that. You can't just say, well, I'm not going to do those things anymore. I don't love them. Well, bills still have to get paid. Dinner still has to be cooked. These things will still have to happen, but you can change the way you approach those things so that they don't drain you anymore. So if you pick your 3 biggest, I keep putting off those things, those tasks, right? And instead of asking how do I force myself to do this, ask well, how could I approach it through my strengths, through my gifts, through my superpowers? And so think about it this way. Let's try to make it a little bit more real with some real examples. If you're a problem solver, treat it like a puzzle. Instead of hey, I have to cook every night, it's okay, how can I design a system that makes dinner easier all week? And your brain's going to start being more engaged. If you're a connector, bring people in. Don't just research your next career move alone. Call some people, call 3 people who've done it before. Have real conversations. You'll get more energy than through one good chat than an hour of Googling anything. If you're a creator, make something visual. Stop thinking man, I have to post on social media, and just start thinking man, what story can I show? What can I highlight that transforms what we're creating here? And suddenly it's not content at all, it's art. If you're an organizer, lean into systems, turn chaos into calm. Create checklists or color codes or routines, whatever brings you peace as a part of that. Maybe you're the encourager. Approach everything as if you're looking to inspire others. Instead of hey, I've got to do performance reviews. It's man, I get to help people, tell people what they're doing well. I get to help them advance forward in what they're doing. And once again, you go from avoiding feedback to looking for it. Now here's the point. The task doesn't change. It's just your approach. You're changing how you show up with it, your intentionality. You're being more authentic with it. And when you bring your gifts to that table, your brain stops fighting it. You save energy. You build so much more momentum. And that flips the entire procrastination story on its head. You're man, I guess it's not a laziness or discipline or time management. I'm working against myself, and I start using my gifts. You're going to stop relying on just willpower and you're going to be running on more of an alignment. And that's the difference between constantly feeling behind and feeling alive in your work again. Because when you see when you see what comes naturally to you and you start using those, you can see them happening day to day. Tasks don't drain you. They start to feed you. And so that takes us into our third area, which is like service shift, right? So how do we turn obligation into purpose? Because one of the biggest energy leaks that people have, that I see people, especially when they struggle with procrastination, is they treat everything like it's a chore. Like you may have said terms like this, and so it may not be these exact terms, but think about ones that you've said that are like this. Things like, oh, I have to work out. I have to make those calls. I have to finish that report. I have to pick up the kids. I have to. And let's be honest, even the most disciplined person can eventually burn out if their life is full of the have-tos. And so the shift is like, well, how do we take it out of obligation into service? That changes everything. It's that service connection. It's how you reframe it. It's the secret to tapping into like a completely different type of motivation. And so your brain lights up differently when you're doing something that helps somebody else. It releases more dopamine and oxytocin, right? So the same combo kicks in when you're doing something, kind or meaningful. And so that's why, people will refer to as, like, you may have heard someone refer to, like, get the helper's high or whatever. Like, you literally get more energy by giving, by serving, by putting yourself out there to help others. So instead of trying to power your way through to-dos, let's start connecting each task to who benefits from it as a part of the follow through. Because when your heart understands the who, your brain finds the how to do it. And so a quick, simple exercise that changes everything is, any task that you've been avoiding, finish this sentence. Like, hey, when I complete this, fill in the blank of person, or whoever, will benefit by, and be very specific with the outcome. Be so specific. Don't say, my family will benefit. That's not all. Hey, when I meal prepped for Sunday afternoons, when I do that on Sundays, my kids get healthy lunches all week. My spouse doesn't carry that mental load around all week. And I actually get to feel calmer at dinner instead of feeling rushed. Do you see the difference? That's not a chore. That's contribution. That's creating excitement. That's showing meaning and purpose. Or maybe you're an entrepreneur who's been avoiding sales. Stop thinking man, I have to sell. I have to get on the call. No, I get to connect with people who need what I offer. I get to help them solve the real problems that only we can solve. If you're a tired parent putting off workout, reframe it as man, I'm creating energy so I can be fully present with my kids instead of just checking out. I'm not chasing abs. I'm building presence. That's what I'm doing when I go work out. And if there's a task that you can't name who benefits it, then maybe that's your sign. Maybe you're not supposed to, it's not supposed to be on your list at all. Sometimes procrastination is just your body's way of saying hey, this doesn't matter the way that I think it does. And if it's something that you can't take off your list, then go back to number 1 or go back to number 2 where you start to infuse your gifts as a part of that. Once again, willpower will run out. Purpose, the energy that comes from that, never does. As you see tasks as acts of service, once again, they're no longer going to drain energy. You're going to just start generating more and more energy from it. And once again, you get out of the I have tos to the I get tos. And that shift changes everything. You don't dread the workouts anymore. You don't hate reaching out to people, to try and connect them for sales conversations. You don't put off doing your resume. It's the same task. It's just different fuel. You're not forcing discipline. You're unlocking just the natural momentum, the things that you're just already programmed and wired to do. Because when you connect, to what you do, to who you're serving, the motivation stops depending on the pressure of it all. It just starts flowing because it's from your purpose. And that takes us to the fourth area that I want to cover, okay? Which is you build momentum through connection. So think about it this way. You don't go at this alone. To be honest, you can understand the patterns you have. You can realign your habits, even connect to your purpose. But if you're trying to do everything alone, you're making it harder than it needs to be. So relationship-based momentum is so important. The R in GIVER is all about the relationship riches. It's about the relationships we create. Because, the truth is accountability isn't about pressure. It's about partnership. Most accountability fails because it's built around some sort of a performance that we're trying to get done. Did you or did you not do that thing? Did you hit your goal? Did you not complete the task you said? That kind of accountability feels like someone's breathing down your neck. It creates pressure, shame, and guilt, exactly the emotions that keep people feeling stuck. You don't need a drill sergeant in your life. You need someone who gets it, someone who reminds you that growth isn't about being perfect. It's about the progress you're making. And that's relationship riches. That's a relationship-based momentum. It's all about hey, how do we have alignment over achievement? So let's celebrate the way you showed up, not just the way you got it done. mutual support over like the one-way check-ins. Like, hey, we're going together. I'm not reporting, like we're not reporting to each other. We're just, we're want to grow together as a part of it. Encouragement over criticism, because being seen and supported and celebrated beats like feeling like you're being policed. Accountability is good. When it comes from connection instead of control, it doesn't drain you. It actually energizes you. You're excited to fill in the other person on where you've shown up, what you've done different, because it's not a like, did you get this? It's like hey, let me tell you about the cool things that happen. And so let's talk about how you make that real. Find someone who shares similar goals and struggles as you. It's a friend, a teammate, your spouse, maybe a colleague, whoever. And then set up like your accountability gift exchange. Think about it this way, like pick a day, every Monday, we're both going to share the aligned, like what's our aligned action we're going to do that week? Just one, not your whole to-do list, not everything you should get done, but like, I'm going to show up this way for these things, something specific and meaningful, not like, well, I'm going to make, I'm going to work on my business, but hey, I'm going to reach out to 3 people I know I can help, and I'm going to do that by blank, not just I'm going to get healthy. Like, hey, I'm taking 20-minute walks with my kids this week, every single day, so that I can blah, 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 like fill in the blank. Like, there's a big difference there. It's not about the task, it's about the why. And then midweek, check in, not to brag, but to encourage. Like, hey, how's it going? What's felt good? What's been tough? What's your resistance trying to say? You're not each other's boss. You're each other's boost. You're trying to get each other to the next level, right? And then Friday, we celebrate. Okay, well, let's talk about did we complete the action? If so, awesome. Did we discover a new way to approach it? Amazing. Did you realize it wasn't aligned with your purpose at all? That's still a win, because like awareness is progress. This isn't about keeping score. It's about building momentum through genuine connection. Because real change doesn't happen in isolation. It happens in a community. 2 people can be the community. Not just any community, but the kind that's built with grace and encouragement and shared growth. When you surround yourself with people who celebrate your progress instead of policing your performance, something really powerful starts to happen. You stop chasing any sort of validation. You stop fearing failure, and you just start showing up with energy and confidence and consistency. Not because you're afraid of disappointing someone, but because you feel supported by somebody. That's how transformation becomes more sustainable. You don't grow through pressure, you grow through that connection. You stop trying to do it all on your own, and you just find your people. You build momentum together, because the truth is, your gifts aren't meant to grow in isolation. They're meant to thrive as they are given through relationships. So stop fighting yourself. Start flowing with who you actually are. If we bring it full circle, once again, procrastination, you're not distracted or undisciplined or need time management or some sort of laziness. No, it's actually your soul waving that flag saying hey, this isn't us. We're off course. And that's why we've unpacked this today. Procrastination, it's not the problem. Misalignment is. It's like you being like, oh my gosh, my back hurts. It's no, that's because your knee is off. You need to work on your knee, or your leg strength, because that's what's throwing off your back. You're looking at the wrong place for the problem. The moment you start working with your design instead of against it, everything will change. When you align your actions with your authentic gifts, your superpowers, the things that just come so naturally to you, when you start using your strengths to connect, what you're doing, especially if you're doing it in a meaningful service, you bring all this energy instead of obligation. You surround yourself with people that fuel your growth, not because once again, the resistance fades, not because you're suddenly more disciplined or suddenly have it's because you just finally start doing what you're meant to be doing, or doing things in the way you're meant to do them. There's nothing wrong with you. They're not laziness, or you're not broken. You're just trying to be someone, you're running someone else's race and let's change that. Your procrastination is not your enemy. It's that GPS trying to steer you back. And so here's my challenge to you. Don't just nod along to this video. Don't just move on to the next one. Take some sort of an action today, even no matter how small. Not the whole project, just the first step. Open the one document. Lay out your workout clothes. Send the one email. Send the text. Smile to that person. Whatever. Just think about who benefits when this is done. The question that changes who benefits? How can I show up with my gifts and super? These are the things that just change everything, because it takes you out of pressure mode and into purpose mode. You realize starting isn't nearly as painful as your brain is probably telling you it is. And so if you want to dive deeper into these things, once again, that's where you're going to want to go get yourself a copy of the GIVER method. Right now it's available for super cheap, $2 to $10 on Amazon. The link is in the description. It should be the first link there. Or just go to Amazon and look up the GIVER method by Talbert. Go get yourself a copy, or maybe buy it for someone else that needs it. Go to thegivermethod.com. Check out the other ways we serve people. You know, get on our mailing list. Check out the other things. Follow us on social media, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, under the handle of The Giver Method. And of course, like if you want someone to walk you through these sort of things, discovering your gifts, creating more value for the people around you, building those relationship bridges that really support your momentum, you know, you want to stop burning out trying to chase the thing that you're trying to get to. You want someone to help you along the way, then check out the one-on-one coaching thing, the link below. Like, it might be the thing that makes most sense for you to do. You know, if you lead a team or have a podcast, a stage, an event, whatever, where people gather and you feel like this message would serve them, then let's talk about how we bring the Giver Method into their world. The link is below about speaking and podcasting. And hey, if this message, if it resonated with you in any sort of a way, then do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications, and drop a comment below telling me what landed for you, because I read every single one of those things. Because here's what I want you to know, like, for sure. Like, your resistance is not random, it's intelligence. The procrastination is not proof that something's wrong, it's the proof that something inside you is ready to realign, and it wants you to take action. You're the only person that has your combination of gifts, superpowers, and experiences, which means you are the only person that can make the impact that you're making. And if you let procrastination come in, then you're not being able to create that value that people out there are waiting for. Stop fighting yourself. Start listening to yourself. That's when you unlock the momentum that you're waiting for. It's on the other side of this resistance that you can move past simply. The Giver Method, like, man, it helps so much with overcoming procrastination. You know, these are the things that help you to stop just surviving your potential and really start to live within it. So let's start doing that today. Let's make the impact that you're born to make. So with that, hopefully we'll catch you in our next video. Check out the other videos on the channel. Check us out at thegivermethod.com, and we will catch you in our next video. Have a good rest of your day.